Andrew Jackson and the founding of the Democratic Party. That's what we'll talk about today. Jefferson officially founded the Democratic Party when he set up the Republican Democrats to run against the Federalists. But it wasn't really a party. It was an amalgam of people who had shared ideas, but it was no organization. But when Jackson had the election stolen from him in 1824, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, he was determined to set up an organization to get out his vote to be sure that didn't happen. And in 1828, when he got elected president, he began that process. But it really didn't take effect until 1832, when Jackson put on his ticket for vice president Martin Van Buren, who then succeeded him and became the 8th president of the United States. And Jackson articulated the concept, to the victor belongs the spoils. At that time, there was no civil service. Every single federal job was a presidential appointment or appointed by a member of the president's cabinet. And a large percentage of the country's population worked for the federal government. I mean, not like it is now, but 5 or 6% did. And in an environment where there were relatively few people that were not subsistence farmers, this was a very, very important thing. And Jackson took the position that I'm not going to try to change the presidential policies and leave the rest of the executive branch unaffected. I want my policies listened to from top to bottom. And therefore, I'm going to replace everybody with somebody who shares my philosophy. Now, in the future, the spoils system, as this came to be known, became a synonym for corruption and led to civil service reform in 1881. But for a 50-year period, it really was the essence of democracy, that the democratic process would control not just the presidency, but the whole executive branch. I believe we need to go back to that. One of the things that I've always proposed, and recently Eileen and I put it in our last book, I think was in the book Screwed, the idea of term limits for bureaucrats. We want to have term limits for elected officials. Well, I don't think anybody should have a federal job that pays more than $100,000 a year who is appointed for more than 8 years. I think we need that kind of turnover in office. And that was the key insight that Jackson brought to the process. And we've now swung way too far over for an entitlement civil service bureaucracy. You know, the regulations that are bureaucracy issues now cost almost as much as federal taxes do. $1.8 trillion, and our federal taxes cost $2.4 trillion. And nobody voted for the regulations. Nobody votes for the people that impose them. That was the lesson of Andrew Jackson's time, and it's a lesson we should take into today. Thanks for watching.